Hi, today we will speak with Patrick Hartono on his VR piece, Dystopia Trilogy.
Yep.
Is it your first VR piece, Patrick?
Actually, for webVR, yes. For gaming, no. I mean, it's really depend. You want to see it from which perspective. But piece that utilizing computer game technology, no. But for webVR specifically, yes.
And can you say some who commissioned or whether it's university work and who triggered the?
Yeah, so basically, this piece is part of my confirmation exam. So in Melbourne, in order to get the candidate status as a PhD student, we need to pass the confirmation examination. And then for that examination, we must drive with like proper project, ready proper project, and writing proposal. And during that time, due to lockdown and many unexpected circumstances, I was a bit depressed to determine which technology shall I use. And it's somehow out of nowhere, I just make myself active in the internet. Friends start using this amazing technology, which is Mozilla Hub. Okay. And when I start using this technology, it somehow feel more intuitive. On the previous video, I explained that I have, a lot of technicality background, but sometimes when you are in a not really good situation, you just need tools that can really manifest the idea directly, that can immediately express your idea. And then somehow I found that Mozilla Hub, it's capable to do it. So first of all, of course, it always based on the interest with the technology, okay? And then furthermore, I try to establish, let's say an idea of a self-reflection during the pandemic situation, particularly because in Melbourne, I think we are the longest lockdown actually in the world. We are almost reached 260 days. And from what I got during this really uncertainty situation, it's somehow, it's like when you do sound wall, okay? You go to certain location and you just keep walking and walking, because the only way that we can do basically during the lockdown is just go outside for a couple of minutes or go to grocery store, okay? Every time I walk, everything is changed gradually, and even sometimes just huge change, in terms of noise, in terms of social interaction, in terms of mental condition, and even weather, because it's a 4 season there, it's keeping changing. So I somehow try to, how do you say, to realize this, I would say even sorrowness within this piece using the technology. However, of course, I need to also establish, let's say, something more than this, more than utilizing technology, which is a compositional approach. Okay, and then the compositional approach from this piece, there are two approaches that I adopted. First of all, it's coincidentally, it is also were adopted before by my friend mentor, Marco Ciciliani, in his piece, which is he's utilizing the topology shape of the virtual environment. Okay, so, but the difference is in my webVR, if you see the environment, the landscape, I don't have like, let's say, more textural or with more hills landscape. It's more stable. So what I do is actually I arrange sound in a very particular position within the landscape that will actually somehow create what I would like to call as compositional structure. And this is actually possible to do because Mozilla Hub provides us with sound spatial feature. Again I also utilize all the feature of technology, and basically something very important from this piece, Sandris, I would say, it's really give me, I would say, a robust starting point to actually help me mentally getting back into all this complex platform, because it was just too depressed. It's just too depressed to start working again with all the codes, because I'm stuck in a very small apartment. And then this environment, these tools, this technology somehow, for myself, it's somehow sort of a therapy also. It has a therapeutical functionality for me. I start being confident. During that time, I even was not confident with myself. Like I was really stuck. I even don't know how to start any code. And this environment, this technology, it's really somehow giving me a sort of therapeutical effect on my side to being confident again to start everything. And yeah, please.
And right, as I understand, the main topic is COVID-19. But what is the main message of the piece?
Okay, the main message is actually to really, as we discussed previously about my aesthetic, about my noise, about the chaos functionality that I implement in my music, it's just literally, honest expression of myself. This piece is also the honest expression about what I feel during this pandemic. First, when the COVID come, we are surrounded only within a room, and we only able to perceive environment from the screen surrounded us when the COVID is just going around. So it's just as simple as that. And also, if you go to the second environment, and then in the second environment, I implement more complex sound layer actually. In more complex sound layer with different organization of sound position in the landscape.
But as I understand, right, this work is it's like in 3 parts or 3 rooms, right?
Yeah, there are 3 rooms.
Can you explain role of each room? And
yeah, so the first room is actually depict the situation when COVID just hit out at first.
Yes.
Okay, prior to my commencement in Melbourne, I was even in Malaysia, because we had a research collaboration with Sana from University of Lund. We were working on a publication together, so we were there. And then after the meeting there, I returned to Indonesia and prepared to go to Melbourne, and then the COVID was hit really bad. So the first one is actually somehow, how do you call it, represent this idea. Okay, and then the second one, the second room, it's the situation when I'm stuck within only very tiny room. It's just so depressive there. So if you see the lighting, the environment, and at the middle of the room, in the middle, you see there is a heart beating that keep beating in a rapid pattern, and it keeps rotating all the time. And every time you get close to the heart, you will feel the heartbeat over and over and over. So I'm really trying to create, let's say, more depressive situation in that room with many layers of sound. So in every corner and even in every intersection of the environment, I think it's time to share the screen. I can show you, let's say, the simple, the basic topology design. So if you see here, so basically I use the feet and the hand to limit the movement for the user, so they don't get lost. And also I can arrange their movement, their locomotion within the environment, so they can experience the sound immersive that I would like them to also have. And this one is the first movement, yeah, that I explained. Then if you go down, it should be this. And you see this one, this is just the first general, the basic, where I put all the location. And then each location of the sound, I really calculate the role of value.
And
The role of sorry,
room, right? This is second room, right?
this is the second room. As I told you, has more layer. The layer in this case also, Sandris, is where I really calculate the role of value, meaning that how the sound will start disappear when user reads out certain location, and when the sound start appearing, more hearable when the user start entering very certain location, and therefore there are very particular location. For example, if I can draw here, for example, like here, right here at the middle, where when the user actually hear, they will listen from this sound together. Mm-hmm. Okay, but if you see the one in the middle here, this sound is actually will play all the time, okay, all the time without any without any implementation of user position in the space. Okay, yes. But I already determined the panning structure of this sound previously. So that's why I tell you it's more layer, and layer. And also, if you see here, because the distance is not that far, and also I think, if I'm not mistaken, also in this location, so the user can hear the sound from here and the sound from here at the same time. So it will create more complex. It's like you're surrounded by everything at the same time. So this is actually the compositional strategy for the second movement.
Or second room, right? Each movement is
the second room is the second movement. And the third one, and this one is actually more. This one is actually similar. This one is the third movement. It's adopt similar strategy, the sound speciality within the space. But for this, I actually emphasize more on the visual aesthetic of the object, Sandris. So if you see this one, I actually distorted all the object.
Yes.
Because the third movement or the third room is called normal. Okay. Yes. So here I somehow distorted all the object, which is the result from 3D scanning that I do surrounded a Melbourne city center. Okay, and then I make a very contrast. I make a very contrast comparison. Okay, with the real life of the video that I display on the screen at above each distorted model. Mm-hmm. And there are other places also within environment.
Yeah. And what is a dramaturgy, right, of those, let's say, rooms or movements?
Can you say one more time, Sandris?
What is like dramaturgical logic, right?
Yeah. The dramaturgical logic is actually, as I mentioned to you, the reason why I'm in Indonesia at the moment is actually to do research with wayang kulit, Indonesian shadow puppet. And also, as I told you also before, this is actually somehow like the rebirth period of me, start getting back again into my research. And in these pieces also, I'm start thinking about the storytelling, the continuous storytelling. And one of the things that I try to get deeper is about storytelling in a linear way, yes. Whether it's really something that I would like to develop more during my research in Indonesia. Yeah. Because one thing that's very interesting when people visiting my webVR, each individual has their own time dimension. So when you enter my room, basically you enter on your own time, okay? And then the music, however, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I don't have in my mind, but for example, when I exhibit this one on the ICMC, on the conference, using the same room, so if the first person actually entered the room, please correct me if all others know about this, because I forget, enter the room, the music will start play, okay?
Yes.
But if there is another person enter the room, the music will follow the previous starting point. However, the second user will have their own perspective of sound in terms of spatiality within the environment. So again, each user actually will have their own personal experience.
Yes, but this now I start understanding. It's not is it this musical piece. I can go with my VR, right? It's alone, and it's one experience. But we can go, let's say, together, and there will be a completely different experience, right?
Yep.
So it's like let's say a game where you can play two people as well, right?
It's like wayang, basically. So if you go to shadow puppet performance in Indonesia, people will stand wherever they want. People somehow, even the puppeter somehow, they are somehow like between sleep and not sleep, because the performance is like the whole entire night, okay? And actually, and this is actually something that I found relevant with the shadow puppet, where people can determine their position.
Yes. So it's basically what I understand, right? There's like 3 rooms, right? In each room, so you put different kind of objects, musical objects within the room, right? And visual objects as well. And I, let's say, as not listener here, right? Let's say, as not as well as watcher, right? As experience, as like some person who experienced your musical piece, I can go through different ways through these rooms, and according to where I stand,
Location.
I hear different sounds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's the same thing with video, right? At one angle or second angle, etc.
True.
So basically, the interaction is like how I go, right? My position, let's say my spatial position, and changing position is how I interact with the piece.
Yeah, correct. And one thing that I need to really emphasize here, Sandris, the reason why I almost never really use the analogy of game, like computer game, it is because, Marco established this gamified audiovisual composition, okay? Where the gamified, literally the meaning of gamification, which is the game rules, is implemented into the composition.
Yes.
Okay. But my aim, it's more influence or similar like Ricardo Kliman. So we use the technology and just having the experience using this immersive technology. And that's why I'm never really used the analogy of computer game in my work.
Yes, good. And sounds, right? These are purely electronical sounds or recordings.
Both. For example, let's speak on the second room, because this is actually the most complex compositional structure. The sound is actually derived from all the sound that I can find in my very small apartment. Okay. Because I really want to depict. Actually, at the beginning, I would like to have the room that literally have this 3D scanning of my apartment. But however, it's just too cheesy, let's say. So I would like to just create another room, that may conceptually represent instead of literally visually represent the room. But since I'm a musician, the sounds just keep attached in my ears. And that's why I just use all the sounds that I can get surrounded the room, like from the tap water, from boiling water, like everything. Right. And then, of course, as I mentioned also in the previous video, in Sonology, we start creating our own system. So I just use the system that I already built like over the years to manipulate the sound.
Got it. And what kind of software you use?
Oh, this time for this piece, you're not gonna believe me. I only for the sound or for the visual.
Both.
For the visual, so this piece actually, well, it's not wise also to say that I'm not using this complex technology, because basically the simplicity is the result of very complex things, right? So for the visual, honestly, I only use photogrammetry, taking a lot of picture and then convert to point clouds and it's become data mesh. Then I eventually use Blender, which is I never really use this Blender. I normally use the procedural visual software. Yeah? And for the sound, I just use Ableton.
Yes.
So when I moved to Melbourne, actually it's really something changed also in my artistic practice. I'm trying to use tools as simple as possible to achieve the idea as soon as possible,
Yes. And VR environment, what kind of you use?
Oh, for the VR environment, I mean, despite from this music, yeah?
Yes, just yes, you
have. In general.
Yes.
Okay, so
I don't know which you use.
Okay, this one is actually totally different answer than Sandris. For the VR at the moment, my ultimate goal, Unreal and Touch Designer. I have one system that I'm working at the moment where I can switch between them. So I can host the VR on Touch Designer and send a few visual entities from Unreal to Touch Designer, or the other way around. I host the VR on Unreal, then I send some functionality or some functionality coding and everything to control Unreal from Touch Designer.
Yes.
Okay. And then Max MSP still actually the main software that I use for the ambisonic, for the multi-channel specialization. Mm-hmm. And also there are several calculation to control the parameter that I'm still doing in Max MSP.
Yes. So, but right. So that this VR environment, this is designer environment, right? Which you said, right? This is okay. And and hardware, is it hardware specific? Do I need to use only Samsung gears, or I can use
for this piece? For this piece, from what I understand, on the Mozilla Hub's website, you can use any VR goggle at the moment, like the Google Cardboard. I think it also works, but you only need to select first which mode do you want to see the website.
Yes.
Yeah, but of course, if you are using the Oculus or HTC, it's more proper. It's
Got it. And can you imagine the same piece but without VR?
Yeah, of course. You can actually when it first presented at this festival, it was presented as a web VR. So people actually witnessed this piece on a computer screen. Then it's actually fine with me. The reason why, because nowadays people start saying that metaverse will replace our reality. Well, it's still very far to go. It's just still very far to go. Come on, guys. I think those people who mentioned this statement, they never use VR more than 60 minutes and having motion sickness. It's not really fun. It's not really fun. So still very far. So if people want to experience this piece on just normal computer screen, it's actually fine with me. But I would suggest to use headphone in order to experience the speciality.
Yes, got it. And could it be a piece without visuals as well? Could it be only sound?
Actually, yes. I present this piece. I think it was in Indonesia and in Argentina, but only the musical one. But I create a different version. It was, when I start back to normal, when my brain starts working again, I work like very fast. I have the material and I can immediately convert actually the second, no, it was the third movement. I convert only the music to fifth order ambisonic. Then it's for multi-channel performance. Yes. My friend Malte Steiner, if I'm not mistaken, the last name, he was Berlin-based, and now he's moved to Denmark, I believe, with his partner. His approach is very interesting with me. Yeah? His piece also part of the ICMC extended reality that I send the link to you. And one is what the interesting thing from his approach. So he created at first only virtual reality piece, okay, meant for Oculus Rift, okay. But the output of that, because when you start working with game technology, there are a lot of elements there: visual element, audio element, and then each audio element and visual element may have different approach that you can also implement with different outcome. Okay, and then Malte really did a great job. He then, how do you call it, implement all the best concept and the material and approach that he used in this piece in a different format of artworks. It ranges from a performance, even he made the 3D printing of the building that he used inside the VR, and of course the webVR version, the Mozilla Hub. It's also part of this variety of outcome.
Yes. But this was created purely by solo, right?
Sorry?
It was like solo piece. You created everything on your own, right?
Yeah, I'm. I don't know actually how to address this, but I studied composition, correct? Yeah, Sandris, and composer mostly work alone. And when you study composition, you mostly work alone, and then you start doing computer music, like these technicality things. It gives you everything, the fundamental logic to start everything by yourself. Yeah, most of my work, I work alone. Yes. The only helps I normally got, it's from my fellow classmate. If I'm stuck with, I already mentioned this before, if I stuck with coding base, because I'm bad. But it's just somehow just very simple twist on the codes. Yeah, I mostly work alone. And perhaps I'm really bad collaborator in terms of, I mean, I do a lot of collaboration, but it's different discipline.
Yes.
Like with dancer, then I create the music and the visual,
And what would be your three major learnings, what you learned by creating this piece?
The three major what? Sorry, Sandris, one more time. Learnings.
Yes.
What I got from this piece, three basic learning from this piece.
Yes.
The first important one, technology is not everything. The concept and idea is the most important thing. You, as an artist, you must be able to at least manifest your work using any technology that you have access at the moment. That's actually the most important thing that I learned, And the second one, technology has therapeutic functionality too. It's really helpful sometimes, especially when you're people like me who spend, the rest of your day like me. I wake up in the morning, my wife is still in the bedroom, I'm sitting here in front of computer. Well, it helps you. And then the third one, it's actually part of my dissertation. I don't really like use, I'm still confused also about this. I don't really like use the term of virtual reality, because I conceive this technology not to replace our reality.
Yes.
What I dream, Sandris, is an extended reality, meaning that in the future, there will be certain job that we can't do in this world, that we need to do in the extended reality. Like, for example, if you go to work to your office, in the future, you will go to work in that environment. But it doesn't mean that you will stay there forever. No, it's just like when you finish there, you come back to your own life. Yes. You know, that's actually what I dream. For example, like if the surgeon, if the expert in Indonesia, and then the patient in Berlin at the moment, we can use this technology actually to do the job.
Yes, got it. And the last question is, what what would be your suggestions, right, to the young composers who have never been composed for VR technology, but they would like to do it. They would like to start, right? So you already did it, right? What would be your suggestions for, let's say, for somebody who didn't?
Do it. However, I need to tell you this, because at the moment I am doing a research collaboration also with Theater Kombinat, Vienna, and University of Applied Art also in Vienna, using Mozilla Hub, because at the moment this technology, it's really more artist friendly. However, listen to me very careful, guys. In order to create this webVR, you need to use their 3D environment editor called Spoke. Okay, Spoke is basically simplify a lot of crazy complex things that normally you need to do in order to create webVR. Okay, however, with Spoke, you need to also have other knowledge, because normally, as you know, Sandris, a game developer, when they develop a game or when they develop a virtual reality, each person work based on their expertise, okay? 3D modeler work to create the model. You know, the sound designer create the sound, okay? You know, visual or video, create the video. But in Spoke, basically, if you want to use and work by yourself, then you need a bit of knowledge, other things like video, preparing the material for hubs, like video, model, sound, because there is a specific size that you need to achieve in order to make sure everything works in the website. So just don't wait, because this is a time actually. This is a time to actually start all this technology. However, remember, you should always have this balance, as I mentioned in the first video, 50-50. Artistic concept and technicality. If you only want to push the technicality, meaning that you're just showing off the technology. If you just push forward the artistic idea, then meaning that you don't understand how to execute your work. So everything has to be balanced. Then for me, this is something as I call a proper artwork, as I mentioned at the beginning.
So thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you very much, Sandris.